I never thought I'd live to see the day, Leah, where the guys that were doing gangster rap in the late 80s and early 90s would not only become household names, but one of them now officially a billionaire on the Forbes list. Dr. Dre,
Nice.
Mr. DRE himself just crossed that threshold.
Very cool. I mean, I guess in some ways I'm surprised that it's taken this long because, I mean, he's been an icon for so long and he's really kind of branched out outside of music in terms of branding. So
He has.
I do feel like I'm surprised that it's taken this long.
Here's the thing that people forget. $1 billion
lot of
is
money.
so
No,
much
you're right.
money. $1 billion is an insane amount of money. And here's how he did it, because you're right, it actually
Yeah.
is mostly not from his music, although that certainly plays a huge
Sure.
role. But Beats by Dre,
That would have been my
was
guess.
their big selling point. That sold for $3 billion a few years ago, whatever his chunk of that is, helping him get to
Sure.
being a billionaire. He also has apparently an alcohol brand that is helping pull in some money.
Nice.
Those things tend to do that as well. I know that that's one of the ways that like George Clooney got very,
Yeah.
very wealthy
Yeah.
past what he was making in movies was his Casamigos. Dr. Dre has his own alcohol brand. You know, he's worked with some of the greats. Dr.
Oh,
Dre
yeah.
worked with Snoop.
Yep.
Helped launch Eminem.
Yep.
You know, worked with 50 Cent. You
Yep.
know, all these big names, plus his own albums, which, you know, when they came out were a huge deal. But I do think it's really funny to think back to especially the conversation that was going on
Sure.
around gangster rap
Yeah.
when gangster rap was first becoming popular, and to now see this be not just mainstream, but so profitable that he's now an icon, billionaire, mogul.
He's doing something right. This is an interesting conversation too, and it's one that I think a lot of like my peers and I have discussed ourselves, but not necessarily the conversation at large that I've heard so much from.
I'm not surprised by the information I'm
neither.
about to share, but it is interesting and to some level concerning. The U.S. fertility rate is at a record low. A new CDC statistic indicates that about 3.6 million babies were born last year. The rate is down about 1% from 2024 and roughly 20% from just 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So like not even just
Well,
in my
yeah.
lifetime, in half my lifetime.
Yeah.
American women are also waiting longer to have children. A decline in fertility rate can affect the economy in the long term. What say you, Leah?
Yeah, I mean, I think to echo what you said before we jumped into this, I'm not surprised. I think, you know, I've heard it said that plants are the new pets, pets are the new kids, and kids are the new luxury item because it's really expensive to start a family a lot. And for a lot of people, in a lot of ways, the conversation shifts around, all right, childcare, how are we providing this? Does one parent stay home? Does that cuts your salary down?
Right. Can we still
Can we afford to have
a
somebody-
home if only one
Yes.
person is working? But if we're both working, can we afford the child care, which is about the same
Yeah.
price as a home? You know, like it is. I think it has become cost prohibitive for so many people, and like you said,
Yeah.
it really feels like almost a luxury to be able to do it, especially if you're somebody that doesn't have family in the area that you
Yeah.
can rely on. You know, if
Right,
you've got
a
a great
retired
family
parent.
unit,
Yeah.
retired parent, maybe a couple retired parents.
Yeah.
You know, that can mitigate some of the costs, some of the challenges. It can allow both people to maybe still work without incurring, you know, thousands of dollars a month in childcare. But if you don't, a lot of families do end up having to make that decision. Is one of us going to stay home? Is the other one, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And then you look at the cost of housing right now too, which is at
Right.
record highs, and it shouldn't be that surprising, even though it feels a little surprising.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that surprising that this might be where we are.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as either more people get married a little later, they're taking their time, I think, kind of getting to know their partner. I think they're taking more time with that decision, whether or not to start a family. So all of that does get pushed back a little bit later and later. Like all of my peers pretty much, I don't think any of us had kids in our 20s. I think we were all like 30, all right, we start. But most of my circle has been in their 30s, which is, you know, a complete 180 from my parents' era.
And as you get older, it then becomes more difficult
Yep.
to have a child. You're talking about not just the pain or the the heartbreak of going through difficult
Yeah.
IVF situations, but that's also extremely expensive on top of all the other
So
expenses
expensive.
that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So it seems to be a compounding problem.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not sure if maybe that number will change as they maybe consider the statistic of people having kids just a little bit later. But it's
certainly
surprising.
the fact of the matter at the moment.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And whatever the answers to that might be, I'm not sure we figured them out yet.
I don't think so, but we always have more Coast Life. We've got that all figured out for you, and there's more of that on the way.